I'm your host, Sharada Devi, of the Born to Be Free podcast that serves as a bridge between the ancient and the new era, a confluence of opposites where all is seen as sacred and every experience is meant to catapult you into your supreme destiny.
Welcome to this new episode of Born to Be Free podcast. I'm Sharada Devi, your host, and I'm very excited. I have a very special guest today with me, Ombiya, known as Gaia Speaks. Gaia, who is Mother Earth, she who wants to nourish, she who wants everyone to be prosperous and abundant. And that's Ombiya. We met in Bali, on the island of the gods and goddesses. And she's a radiant being, a sacred woman here to empower other women. And I invited her to join me for this podcast to talk about the world of abundance, financial abundance, prosperity, and especially also cryptocurrency. What is crypto and what is cryptocurrency? And I know for so many of us, especially women, but like Ombiya is really showing that it's not like that at all, that women cannot be in the world of crypto or finances. No, we can very much be in the world and have a feminine approach towards the whole financial world. And you're all about like helping women. You created a crypto queendom to have women become independent and sovereign and abundant in their finances. And I'm so happy that you're here today with me.
Mm.
And please introduce yourself to share a little bit about your background and what brought you to becoming a crypto queen.
Mm. Thank you so much for the lovely introduction. Um,
Oh,
ah, yeah, it's really cool because you met me at a retreat, and that retreat is so sacred to me because in that retreat we really get to embody fully our true selves for those 5 days, which means light language and healings and deep work. And Gaia actually was a name given to me by the high priests when I was inaugurated.
mm,
Um, Gaia Kaidra Vidra is the full name. And so, yeah, that it feels so fitting because I really do feel just such a connection to, I mean, all of us women do, to Gaia, but to be given that name and then to see the journey that life is taking me on, it just feels so fitting. So thank you for bringing the name and the introduction. Um, so yeah, I've kind of always been a little bit of a rebel, which I feel like many of us on the awakening path can relate to, being maybe the black sheep of the family. I've definitely always had a bit of that, and that has really led me on such an incredible path of really finding my own inner sovereignty because I really rejected the system, as we call it, um, and just found my own way through traveling, through fasting, through a lot of detox, a lot of, yeah, not working jobs and just kind of surrendering and just being like, what does my life look like if I just let go of everything? If I just die again and again and again? And I've probably given away my things maybe like 5 times, full, clear, traveled to so many different countries where I knew nobody, and that really strips you of your personality, of the
mm,
person that I built. When I had to just kind of start over again and again. And so crypto was one of those start overs because I was living in Utah, between Utah and Hawaii, and I was a plant medicine guide.
mm,
And I was really in the character of that. I was going through such another awakening, and medicine became such a big part of my path, like stripping away all of the old beliefs, all the programming, all of the old memories, and really healing really deeply with that. Um, and in the middle of that, I left to go to Bali, and it was in the middle of COVID, and everything was shut down. But Bali opened really strange for like these 3 weeks in December. And I hopped on a plane. I knew I needed to be there. It was my second time in Bali, and I hopped on a plane and I flew there. And when I got there, I just knew I wouldn't be able to leave. And that was very difficult because I had a business serving medicine with my dear sisters. We had a community house. I had a whole house of animals, cats, birds, snakes, wolves, dogs, everything. It was,
Really? Wow.
yeah, it was the most, honestly, one of the most beautiful times of my life. We had a full garden of Eden. We had grapes hanging from the vines, full fruit everywhere. It was super, super divine. I just had such incredible relationships. But when I went to Bali, I knew, I was like, oh no, here I go again. Like I'm gonna have to shed all of this because a new woman was being called through me, which was actually leaving the world of medicine and finding that medicine within and realizing, I am the medicine and I don't need to be taking anything. And that was a very, very big ego death because I moved to Bali where I had no job. I had just very little friends. And it's a whole new culture to leave America and come all the way to an Asian country. Um, so it was really I was just kind of open to everything, and cryptocurrency kept coming into my field. It had came into my field the first time I actually traveled to Bali because I was meeting so many incredible humans who are not working. And I'm like, how are you not working? Like, what are you doing? How can you just live in Thailand, in Bali, and just do whatever you want? And a lot of them were crypto people. It's meeting a lot of crypto people. And so I got curious, 4 years ago, I set up a wallet. I did the whole thing. I had someone help me. I made some money and then I got hacked and I lost it all. And I didn't think I would do it again. But this time, now my second time to Bali, crypto is coming again in my field, very, very strong by one of my best friends. He was like, you have to buy, you have to buy. And he was like helping me. And I'm like, okay. But as I was doing it, I really felt, you know what? I want to know what I'm doing. Like, I want to actually have an education because I don't want to just do what someone's telling me to do. I actually want to understand what I'm doing, what I'm buying, why am I buying this coin? What does this coin do? What is the technology of crypto? What is crypto even? Like we hear about it, but many people don't even really know what it is. They just think of Bitcoin right away, but what is Bitcoin? Many people don't even know. So I looked for um a class and I saw something pop up on the Ubud community WhatsApp group really quickly, a crypto class. I was like, perfect. And I looked up the teacher on Facebook. And when I looked him up and his picture came up, I was just in love. I was like, oh my gosh, that's the hottest guy I've ever seen. I was just
Oh.
instantly was like, this guy's too hot. I cannot go to the crypto class. I'm gonna fall in love. And I literally was in Bali to separate from love. I wanted time to myself. I didn't want to be diving into any more relationships. And so I decided not to go actually. But the next day, I go to Zest, this restaurant in Ubud, and he's sitting right there across from me, the same guy. I'm like, oh my God, it's the crypto guy. He's sitting right there. I'm just staring at him, drooling out of the corner of wa- so badly wanting to see him. And I did. I actually, as I was walking out, we caught eyes. I went and introduced myself. And fast forward 4 years, that's my husband. And we've been diving deep together into all realms. But of course, crypto is a big one. because, you know, right after we met and and he taught me, because he did start teaching me, amongst other things. And we did so well. I had no idea that was possible. I took a few $1,000s and I turned it into 6 figures in an 8-month period.
Wow.
And the timing was so perfect.
Mm.
Honestly, it was incredible. And the timing, I think I was telling you on our one-on-one, the timing of when I got in is pretty much like the timing of now. It was
Mm.
in the year of a bull market, which we only have every 4 years. So for
Mm.
3 years in crypto, we have a bear market where the market sleeps and nothing's going on. It's very low. And then we have 1 year of a bull market where all the prices pump, and that's when everyone makes their money. So I had such good success. I was like, I need to teach people. Like, I need to teach my family. I need to teach my friends. And that's exactly what I did. I started for free, just teaching. And
Mm.
then I was like, oh, well, more people are interested. I'm just going to charge, $99. So $99 for a class. And it just started to evolve. And now it's has a life of its own. It's
Mm.
full on egregore, this beautiful community of crypto queens, and we have a crypto kingdom as well.
Mm.
So men can join too. And it's been about 3 years now that's really been going, but about a year and a half that it's been going really strong.
Mm.
And we've had amazing testimonials. We've had people making money. We've had women who have gotten to stay home with their husbands after their free birth because they were able to use the money to, be home with their kids and their family. Just had such beautiful messages of love and appreciation because crypto is the future. And crypto, I believe, and why my heart is really behind all of this is because we're at such a pivotal moment in our collective reality right now, which is we're basically on the brink of a financial collapse. Inflation is so high, the US dollar is worth less and less and less. In the last 80 years, it's honestly $100 can buy you maybe 2 little bags of groceries.
Mm.
It's it's wild what we're seeing. I mean, even, you go to Bali now and you want to rent a 1 bedroom and it's 2 grand. It's just the world is changing and we're in more and more debt. And eventually this debt is going to catch up with us. And what we're going to see is, you know, the fall of the dollar and the rise of a new currency, which is going to be digital currency. They talk about a one world currency. I think that's very, very possible. But before we get to that stage, we're having a huge transfer of wealth from the physical into the digital. Just like we've digitalized books, we've digitalized movies, music. Now we're just starting to digitalize currency, but it's not just currency, it's decentralized currency,
Mm.
which is very, very important to know the distinction because right now we live in a very centralized capitalistic world where there are, people that are on top of a company, they own everything and they're in control, they make the rules, they hold all the power, they hold all the servers of the company. Like you go to Google and Google has warehouses, these warehouses have servers with all the data and it's private, right? And now we're moving to a decentralized way of being, which is where it's even playing field because everybody owns a network. It's all on everyone's computer and it's done in a way where we actually hold our own money. We're our own bank. So
Mm.
we actually own the keys to our crypto, to our coins, where when you're using a bank, they actually hold your money, right? It's putting someone in between you and your funds, a middleman per se. So a bank that's holding your money, if you want to take out a big chunk, they're not going to let you. They're going to want you to come into the bank, sit down, explain why, sign a bunch of papers. If you want to send money across the world, you need to go in the bank, especially if it's a large amount of money. And you have to kind of get permission from these banks, right? But with crypto, you own your money. You can send money across the world. I could send you right now an unlimited amount of money across the world in seconds with nobody giving me permission. So it's really taking our power back in this whole game, this whole money game. And the timing of it, as I was saying, why it feels so potent and important to me, and your community will probably relate to this, as I know you do too, is it's the time to buy land and grow food and have clean water and be sovereign in our lives and not, rely on anyone else to provide us with substance and resources and the things that we need to survive, because we can't really even trust the powers that be right now. Look what they're putting in our food, GMO and heavy metals and all of these things, where we eventually have to be the ones to stand up and say, no, this is enough, and take the powers in our own hand and come together in community and create this new earth, as we've all been talking about. I don't really love using that word, but that's exactly kind of what's happening. Is luckily, the way the world is set up now is such an amazing motivator to really get us to step in our power and create the life that we dream of, which for me is my health is the most important thing to me, because without my health, I have nothing. And so I really, really am calling in that land, those people. And I know that crypto is not only networking me to a bunch of beautiful, incredible people that have the same vision, but also I'm helping empower them so they can do that for themselves. Because once we heal, we dive into ourselves, we become financially free, then we get to overflow. And we get to overflow in these projects and these dreams that help change not only our lives, but others. So that's a long-winded introduction, but I feel like, yeah, it's very important, and there's just so much I can talk about on all these subjects. But yeah.
Yeah, thank you. It's so inspiring, and like you say there's so much to talk about. What is it that you feel like for newbies, people that are new to the crypto world, where do they start? How do they start? How do they educate themselves?
Yeah. So the first place I think to start is by getting really clear with your financials. Just getting really clear, understanding, okay, going through your bank statement, printing it out, categorizing everything, realizing what you're spending money on, where can you cut costs, how can you, I don't like to use the word budget, but how can you just bring awareness to your finances so you understand where the money is going? Because a lot of us have ongoing subscriptions or this or that, maybe don't really know how much we're spending. And that is the first place to get really clear. Because before you get into crypto, you need to know how much money you have to play with, right? Because the first rule in crypto is do not put in what you can't afford to lose. So first, you need to get really, really clear with, okay, what can I play with? Once you get clear with that, for sure to take I have a great beginner's course that's going to walk you through step by step on how to set everything up. It's going to give you all of the keys and codes of everything you need to get started, a list of my favorite coins, how to get into my favorite blockchain, because there's so many cryptos out there. I'm talking there's probably millions actually, because people are creating new cryptos all the time. And you can even create cryptos that have absolutely no technology behind them.
So
Maybe
anyone
you
can
guys.
create crypto at any time.
Yes. So there's so many. And so you can get lost in all of them. So it's good to have it be, crunched down to a few by somebody that has some experience, not financial advice, but I definitely give all the keys and codes to everything I'm doing in my courses. So that's a really good way to start. Find a teacher, someone you trust. You also have to be careful just going on YouTube and Unfortunately, in crypto, the game is people create projects and they go to these influencers with millions of followers, and then it's kind of scammy. There's a lot of scamming happening in crypto, unfortunately,
Mm.
because there's so much money moving and it can be really easy to pump coins up. A lot of people pay influencers to pump their coins, and then they pay them in the coin that they ask them to pump. So then when all of their audience goes and buys, they can sell on top of their audience and make a bunch of money. And we see that over and over again. So you really have to be careful who you trust in a space. There's only a few people that I trust. Your friend Somi on YouTube, Crypto Coffee on YouTube. Um, yeah, it's very limited. I have a very limited circle that I surround myself with. And again, in crypto, how I play it is I want to get really good at one thing
Mm.
because there's so much noise that
Mm.
for me, I'm like, okay, I'm going to get really good in this one ecosystem. So we did a one-on-one the other day and I introduced you to the Pulse Chain ecosystem. And I'm really in that ecosystem. I know everything that's happening. I get updates every single day. Me and my husband are always researching. He's been in the game for 9 years. So he's really helped narrow everything down to this. And then in the last bull market, we made the most money off of this ecosystem. So we're like, okay, we're believers, we're living, we had the living experience of this being successful. So we trust the leader of this. And then we follow, but maybe somebody doesn't like what I'm doing and they find their own leader, their own YouTubers through their intuition, but the first place to get started is just learning what it even is.
Mm.
So I would suggest my beginner's course or, YouTube. YouTube, you can learn so much on there too, but
Mm.
just learn what is crypto, what is Bitcoin, what is Ethereum, and just get an idea of the bigger picture of crypto and why decentralized finance and why the technology of doing things on the blockchain is a big deal. I'd probably dive into that.
Yeah, yeah. Can you just talk a little bit about the blockchain? I feel like the
Hmm.
crypto, like when the basic understanding is that it's a decentralized setup to
Hmm.
exchange to money, to pay, exchange, receive, buy money, give money, send money. And what is a
Hmm.
blockchain, just in simple terms?
Yeah, it's literally like it's a block
Hmm.
chained together to another block.
Hmm.
But these blocks are actually like filled with code, with computer code. And once they get filled up with code, then it creates another block and another block is filled with code. So it's really technical, but why it's cool is because it's running off of the computer networks and it's running off of this new, I like to call it the new layer of the internet. So we have the regular layer of the internet, right? What we use now, this centralized layer, and then now we're creating this decentralized layer run off of this technology called the blockchain. So it's
Mm.
literally just like blocks of code that get chained together
Mm.
that all of this information is stored on. And on the blockchain, nothing can be deleted, can be changed, can be tampered with. So every transaction is posted on the ledger for everyone to see. So all transactions are super, super transparent.
Wow.
So you can't see, like, you wouldn't be able to see, like, oh, Ombiya sent money here. We all have our own, like, secret long code.
Mm.
But what's cool is it creates a lot of transparency. Which is good for, I think the bigger powers that are playing the game, that are sending money to Russia or here or there. We could see that. We could be like, oh, you did this or oh, you did that. It's creating a whole another layer of like full transparency because now we have the banks where everything is shut and closed. No one can see. And this is kind of opening that door. Um, so that's the blockchain. I just like to call it like the next layer of the internet. That's the easiest kind of way we can see it in our minds.
Mm. Mm. Incredible
Hmm.
how, yeah, for someone who doesn't really know much about it, this is like opening this world. And yeah, it's scary. What do you feel like? Yeah, like it's the fear that comes with it. If we talk about the emotional part, like I feel like it's that that fear, the fear of loss, the fear if I get lost in this, get scammed, how like from woman to woman. And I know you also address that factor in your course. You even have like that address, like the mental blockages, the emotional blockages to support that, which I feel is so beautiful that you offer that, which I feel is a huge add-on because there's so many emotions involved.
Totally.
Be with the fear.
Yeah, I think it's just again, right, stepping into that greater trust of just trusting yourself, making sure you're present and slow when you do things, because you're only going to get scammed if you make a mistake, right? You fall for something and you're not educated to know not to do that thing. So that's why in our courses, we really help people do things step by step with the correct links. Honestly, having a mentor saves you so much time
Yeah.
and worries. And that's why we have mentors, right? Because they are able to safely guide us through. I mean, Fabrice has been the guinea pig for all of it because he started 9 years ago when it was way harder and he's lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. I've lost a lot of money as well by making mistakes, but because we made those mistakes, now we can teach people not to make those mistakes. So if you get a mentor, you're going to be in really good hands. That's already going to take away probably 60% of the worries and fears, having someone hold your hand. But of course, it can still be intimidating because it's like learning a new language, but it's like anything, going in a new relationship, starting a new business. There's always going to be that fear, but fear is just an illusion. It's just the mind trying to keep us safe, honestly. And this life is always about pushing ourselves to our edges and seeing what's beyond that fear, what's beyond that voice. That voice, is that even your voice? Whose voice is that? Where did that voice come from? Did it come from your mom? Did it come from your dad? Did it come from this situation or that? And just pushing past that, because honestly, what could be on the other side of this could buy you, a whole year of freedom where you get to go travel the world and get to go to India and sit with a master, and it changes your whole life. Like, you just never know what is beyond that. And why I love crypto is it gives this hope. In this world where it's really hard to make it because we're enslaved in a system that's all driven by money, it really can, it gave me hope. It gives many people hope because you can see, wow, I can actually make money by not doing so much work and have my money work for me in the background while I live my life. And in 3, 4, 5 years, that could be worth enough to really buy me time. And I always say this, but you can never get time back. You can never get time back. So what you do today is going to be what creates the next day, the future for yourself. And so don't let fear hold you back from anything new if your heart is really pulling you into it, because that's your intuition telling you that there's something there for you. And if you end up losing all your money, then that's the lesson that was there for you. And there's a gift in that. And so it's really just a continued journey into the self, because everything we do is just reflecting more of us to us and teaching us more about who we are.
There's the Gaia Speaks. From the self to the money, every layer is covered. Fear is just an illusion, we know. Yeah.
Yeah, just believe in yourself. You got this. You can do this. It's a learning curve, but it's always good to learn something new. And the thing is that in crypto right now, you still have an edge, because many people are too scared to even dip their toes in and start learning. Still, probably, I don't know, 85, 90% of the population still calling it a scam, even though you can buy it on the stock market. I still have people commenting here and there being like, this girl's a scammer. She just wants blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you can buy Bitcoin on the stock market right now. What do you mean? Like, this is not, this
It's
excuse
not just
just
all
doesn't
made up.
even, yeah, it doesn't even work anymore. Um,
Mm,
so many people are, that because of the bad rap that it's had for so long are still too scared to really learn about it. But
mm,
that's kind of good because if you can get in early at a low price, then when the rest of the people understand what it is, because a lot of what we're investing in crypto is businesses, just like the stock market, um, technology, right? Technology that's going to help the future. There is a really like one of my favorite coins, I bring this one up a lot, is called Theta, and Theta is created by the founders of YouTube and Twitch.
mm,
And or the co-founders, and they're creating a decentralized YouTube.
mm,
Is that valuable in the future? Probably, especially if YouTube is owned by certain people and they take down a lot of videos. And what if we could just have the videos running on the blockchain and then nobody can take them down and hide information? So that could be very valuable. We also have an amazing coin, Chainlink. Chainlink is the Google of the blockchain,
mm,
right? It's connecting all of the applications of the blockchain. So that's very, very valuable. That's probably going to be worth a lot in the future. So it's like there's these companies that are running on the blockchain. It's this new layer of the internet. It's a whole new industry. And if you get to buy in first before people realize that it's valuable, even if it takes 4 or 5 years in the future, right? Because I'm not a get rich quick kind of girl. I'm thinking long-term investment. How can I make my money work for me long term? So when I go back to it in a few years, I mean, it could be faster than that. Like I said, it can happen in a bull market year in a few months, but we just never know, right? But if I'm holding this long term, like people had to hold Bitcoin for 12 years for their Bitcoin to hit 12 or 60, $70,000. But look how rich they are. They're
um,
multi-million billionaires because
yeah.
they held, so if we can look at it in a long-term investment while people are learning about it, you're ahead because you learned about it first.
Mm,
Therefore, you're holding it first. Therefore, when that influx of people start to come in and they transfer their wealth into decentralized finance, we make money because we can sell when all of them are buying. And that's the thing. You want to buy low, sell high.
mm,
So it's cool that there's still time, right? There's still time for people to adopt and to bring money in and to
mm,
grow this whole industry. So as um as scary as it can be, we're still very, very early.
mm.
So it's good. It's good for us.
Yeah, yeah. So beautiful the way you explain it. And I love, your playfulness and joyfulness around it. And I feel that's also like to invite that, to see it as like something new that we're learning, like a new instrument. Or
Hmm.
like an instrument, it can be so, oh my God, I will never learn this. But then actually if you take the instrument and you just play every day a little bit with it, suddenly you are playing it. And
Exactly.
and that feels like play with crypto. And like you said, get your finances straight. Like, so
Hmm.
everyone, get your finances straight, get your bank accounts, see how much you're spending actually, because it's quite surprising that we're spending a lot in things that are actually unnecessary. And so if we would like save that money, which we're spending in unnecessary things, and maybe put it into crypto, it might grow exponentially. And then suddenly we have a beautiful saving in a few years. And like you say, you can go travel or buy your dream house or just
One of
actually,
my sisters in the
yeah,
Crypto Queens, she always says, what does she say? She says, she calls when she buys coins every Friday night, instead of going out to dinner, she puts
yeah,
like $200 into a coin.
yeah,
And I love that. She's like,
yeah,
okay, I'm going to put my dinner money. My dinner money is going
crypto.
into crypto. Like
Yeah,
every week, I just put my dinner money into crypto instead of going to dinner. So it's a little bit of a sacrifice,
yeah.
but that sacrifice can be so worth so much more in the future,
Mm, mm,
for sure.
mm. So how much time do you spend, more or less, like you who are in it now? You're probably spending a couple hours, a few hours, I don't know. And for somebody who is like starting, learning, how much time investment are we talking
Yeah,
about?
that's a great question. So my beginner's course is 90 minutes.
Mm.
And then it takes probably 2 to maybe max 3 hours to onboard. Getting money into crypto is always the hardest part because you never know, like, if your bank is going to block a transaction or if this app isn't going to work or what kind of roadblock you're going to hit. Because, I mean, 9 out of 10 times, there's always some kind of roadblock. It tests you. It's like, how much you want this at the beginning, right? So it can take a few hours to get started, but then it's so easy. It's like you check once a day just what the prices are at. I also have made it very, very easy. I've made my Crypto Queens group, and I give updates on there. The girls give updates in there. You know, the thing about having a community that's so great is then all of a sudden you have like 200 eyes, 200 eyes and ears. Everyone's sharing information, everyone's cross-referencing things. So you can just look at that group. That's super easy. I spend maybe an hour a day because I watch my YouTubers and the people I trust, or if there's some news, like, you know, we just had the Microsoft crash the other day, like, you know, I need to be up to date with kind of everything that's going on. And so, yeah, about an hour a day, but honestly, it's very easy. Once you have everything bought, you barely need to look, just like once a day for 2 minutes in the morning, just to see if the prices have gone up. Because if the prices go up, then, you know, you want to be aware because maybe you want to take some money out. Because I like to ladder profit, which means um, when we make some money, I always take a little bit out because you never know when the top is in crypto. So it's really hard to buy at the bottom and sell at the top because we never really know when the top is. Um, so it's good to, you know, be like, oh, if my money goes 3 times the amount, I take out my initial investment and then I'm completely risk free. Right. So you just want to keep your eye on that. If it's a bull market like it is now, you want to obviously be more proactive. But when it's a bear market, I mean, you barely have to look, maybe 1 minute a week just to see that things are low. But because it works in these cycles, it really helps. Um, it helps you understand how much time you need to put in, but it's so much less than people think. You don't have to like become super nerdy and sit at your computer every day and trade back and forth. I don't do any trading. Trading is the really easy way to lose money because, again, people are guessing and they're predicting what is going to happen, and we can never truly predict. But that's why it's cool that like AI is coming in the game because maybe one day we'll have an AI trader, you know, somebody that can trade money and do that for us. I haven't seen any successful because there's been AI trading bots for so long, but I think somebody could eventually do that successfully. But for me, I really think the best thing is just to choose your racehorse and hold and accumulate. How much can you accumulate, right? I try to, for myself, I'm like, okay, how much can I put into this coin? Because the more I put in, the more it can grow.
Mm.
So I really like to only pick no more than like 7 coins.
Mm.
And then I just stack those. Because when I do one-on-ones, I see people who have like 20 different coins and they have like $100 here, $100 here, $100 here. And I'm like, what if you took all of those $100, you put it together, that's 2 grand, and you just put it into one project. So if that one project goes 4x, which means 4 times your money, then all of a sudden you have, you know, 10K. So it's yeah, it's a learning curve, but I teach all these things. Again, I never give financial advice, but I just teach the wisdom of how I would play it, and that has seemed to really work again and again. It feels like a more of a proven formula than just trying to guess. A
Mm.
lot of people get into crypto at
Mm.
the wrong time. That's the
Mm.
biggest thing. And I think even you, when when we were talking to you, you bought at a top when the prices were at the highest, because that's when everyone buys, because
Mm.
everyone FOMOs, the fear of missing out, right? Everyone FOMO runs in and rushes into crypto when they hear everyone else is making money. But when everyone else is making money, it's already too late.
Mm.
You
Exactly.
need to get in early.
Mm.
So right now, if whoever hears this podcast, it's July 22nd, we maybe only have a few weeks because we've already been in the bull market for a few months now. And so it's like you really, really want to get in still when things are low. So right now things are still low, so it's still a good time. We haven't had the altcoin season yet, which are all of the other coins below. There's Bitcoin, there's Ethereum, and then we have the altcoins, which are all of the other application coins. And we haven't had a run in those coins yet, so it's still a good window. But it's a limited window. We're not really sure how long that will last.
Mm.
And then we'll have 3 years again where the markets will be sleeping, and that's the time to buy. When nobody's talking about it and everything's low, that's the best time. But nobody wants to buy during those times. But that really is the time to do it.
Oh, thank you so much, Ombiya. Beautiful. Is there
Yeah, you're
anything
so
else you would
welcome.
like the listeners to know?
Um, yeah, I just wish all of you, luck on your journey and to just trust yourself. Whatever your heart is pulls you to, whatever, your intuition is pulling you to just follow it. Follow it and you'll be guided to exactly where you need to be in every single moment. I know me and Sharana, I know like we've had such full, incredible, wild journeys because that's what we've done. We've just followed this like silver thread, this voice from God, we've followed these voices, and these
Yeah.
voices really are real. Our intuition, especially as women, like we really, really, really are onto something very, very big. I feel like we're all incredible leaders and we're all coming back into, what it is to trust ourselves as women. And
Mm.
so a lot of women are giving their power away when it comes to their financial abundance to their husbands or to their bosses or to another figure. And I really believe that as women, when we claim our worth and our wealth, like we're going to change the world because we see what needs to be changed. And we know because women have always been leaders of societies, of the old ancient societies. It was always the women leading. And now we're in this awakening where we're like, okay, we're ready to lead, but we need the resources. We need the financial backing to really be able to bring our visions into the world. So I really hope that, crypto can be a pathway for you. And thank you so much for just being curious and asking me to be here and bring this to your listeners, because I do really believe this is such potent medicine and a really good time to jump in. So
Mm.
thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Ombiya.
Mhm.
Wonderful. We will post the links to Ombiya beginner course and also the crash course that is coming up. And you can follow Ombiya on Instagram. It's Gaia Speaks. What is
Yes.
exactly the handle? Gaia?
Gaia_speaks_.
Perfect.
Mhm.
Gaia_speaks Gaia. Gaia_speaks_.
Underscore, yes.
Many underscore. We'll post it anyway.
Yeah.
So wonderful. Thank you very much for being here with me today.
Thank you so
I
much.
look forward for our journey together to continue grow this wealth. And I want to end this episode with saying that, some of you maybe be thinking, what, like having money, this is the wrong focus if you're on the spiritual journey. And the truth is, like, yes, there might be a time where you're not focusing on money and creating your financial wealth because you need to spend time with your spiritual growth. But the thing is, like, if you spend time with your spiritual growth, but you can barely like feel safe because you cannot focus on your spiritual growth if you don't feel like safe relatively, if you don't feel held, if you don't feel nurtured. It's very, you can, I'm not saying you cannot, because in my case also it was like that. But for most
I
people it's
do.
very tricky to actually dedicate time to the spiritual growth, the emotional growth, when the relative aspect is not taken care of. And another invitation is to also question this belief that money is not spiritual. which many spiritual people believe, like, oh, money is not really spiritual, it's the material world and it has no real happiness in it, so why should I focus on it? Yes, this is all relevant, but at the other hand, everything is spiritual. Like this whole universe is a sacred being, and the sacred being, infinite intelligent being, manifests as money, as a means to buy what is given here and to share the wealth, really. Like even money in Sanskrit, it means mani, the jewel. And so it's a jewel that we are exchanging, and then we both can grow. Like that jewel is not here to be kept, it's here to be appreciated. And then we can do something with it. And so, like Ombiya and her husband, I know it, also planning about buying land and creating community. And so many of us that are on the spiritual journey, like your desires to create wealth, if they are there, and I know for many people they are there, but they're in the unconscious, hidden, not yet being allowed to surface. And then once they come, I invite you to really welcome them, because the universe wants you to be wealthy, because you are the wealth just by being you. And then also the relative wealth, it wants to be with you, because if it's in the hand of spiritual dharmic people, then that wealth will be shared for the good of all being. And so in the Veda, it even says, let all dharmic people be wealthy, because the dharmic people know how to share wealth. They don't keep it for themselves. And I love this picture of Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of abundance and luxury. Like she has her two hands. One is facing upward and the other hand is facing downward, and the coins are just coming in and out. Like they're coming in one hand and going out on the other hand. So it's this sacred flow. Oh, this what's the word in English?
Representation, yeah.
Yeah, representation, and the reciprocity,
Reciprocity,
right? The more we give, the more we receive, the more we receive, we can give. And that eventually you don't know who is the receiver, who is the giver. It's just one being receiving, giving, and sharing the infinite wealth. And so maybe all be wealthy. And
Definitely.
buy land and plant trees and do what we can. Right? We are not helpless, and there's still so much to be done that we can do. So living with this. Swasti mantra. Swasti means let there be wealth and for all beings, freedom. So thank you so much. I wish that for you, Ombiya, and your husband and your family. And for everyone that is listening and watching. Thank you so much. And if you like this episode, please like it, subscribe to the channel, Born to Be Free podcast, and also feel free to share this episode so more people can know about crypto and another way of living that is not centralized, and you can reclaim your power as a human being.
From my heart to yours, deepest gratitude for your presence. May you follow your wildest dreams, live your highest purpose, and expand into the infinite, because that's what you are.